Hey gang, Sensei Tom Gillis, Rising Phoenix Martial Arts, Okotoks, Alberta, Canada. Helping me out today is my UK is Tammy, and on video is Alex. Today's debrief for the week ending November 18th. This week we were looking at cross-stepping, and I can bet already that a lot of martial artists heard me say that, and they started to freak out already in their minds. Cross-stepping. Cross-stepping has got no place in some martial arts, has got limited place in other martial arts, is an integral part of other martial arts. And we're going to get into it. We're going to look at a little bit of the pros and cons of understanding how to cross-step. Where does it come from? How is it used? And why do different people do it? So the first thing we're going to look at is an exercise where Tammy's going to come down on angle 1, and I'm going to cross-step the way out of it. So I cross-step here to start to take the outside gate. Or she comes in again, and I cross-step here to start taking the inside gate. Or she comes in again, and I cross-step here to turn. Or she comes in again, and I cross-step here to turn. Now, that was completely devoid of handwork or any kind of really combative oomph, just to show the 4 different angles and the 4 different, if you will, fundamental movements that come in and out of cross-stepping. So now we're going to look at how to use it a little bit. She comes in with a cross-step. She comes in with the attack. I cross-step and I intercept. Then I uncross and I attack. I like to use the word attach. And your attachments can be strikes. Your attachments can be grappling, depending on your personal flavor or what you're experimenting with. She comes in, I cross-step, intercept, and then I uncross and attach. You can see there I attach with a grab and a kick. She comes in on angle 1, I cross-step and deflect. Now I uncross and attach. And taking disarms, wrist locks, hit her with her own stick. All kinds of fun stuff there. She comes in on angle 1 again, I cross-step, attach, uncross. And see what you can find here. So the whole idea here is that you should be able to use cross-stepping in most combative martial arts. For instance, like Filipino martial arts, Chinese martial arts systems of Kung Fu, and Ninjutsu, and other Japanese combative martial arts use the cross-stepping. So where does it come from? Well, it's hard to generate a lot of power when you're in a cross-step position. But with a blade, I don't need a lot of power. She comes in here. That's really all you got to do is touch her with the tip of the sword. And then when I uncross, there's the cut. You have to remember, these things were razor sharp. You don't need a whole heck of a lot of power when you're talking about moving a razor blade. And you can see again, when I uncross is when the cut happens. So that's really where cross-stepping came from, is from the bladed arts where you didn't have to generate power. And if we look at that same pattern again with the knife, she comes in with an attack. There's my cross-step. Well, I've already started some destructive movement. Now there's my uncross. How much power do I really need to put a knife through someone? If they're fighting back, I probably need some. But if I've got my angles, and if this is done fast and dynamic, it's really easy to poke a knife through some flesh. She comes in, there's my cross-step, here's my uncross. You can see again, no power, I've got this. I've got the knife right where I want it. Some simple body mechanics will finish the cut for me. There's my cross-step, there's my uncross. It's a simple limb destruction. Uncrossing and coming in with the trap, just using my posture and my body weight on her. There's the cross. There's the uncross. So cross-stepping isn't really something that you're going to do where you're going to stand there and you're going to try to stay there and generate power with blows. It's a momentary snapshot in movement. And the arts that use it usually use it, most of the ones that I've seen use it all in that fashion where their cross-step is kind of evasive, and then it's in the uncross is where all the things happen. Or with the blades. So now that we know a little bit about cross-stepping, I'm going to show a couple techniques that I like that we were playing with this week. One's a knee bar and one's a calf slicer. I'll get Tammy to get rid of the knife. You could play with these with weapons, but just for the sake of argument right now, we won't. She comes in with a punch. So here's my cross-step movement, and I slide into the knee bar. Now, my right foot is trapping her right foot, and our insteps are hooked together. I start to put pressure on her shin. Now to defend this, first of all, she has an arm here, so this is dangerous for me, but she can just slide her foot back. And now I've lost my knee bar. So this is where the cross step comes in. 1, 2. I cross-step my left on top of hers to trap the foot. And now here's where I can do the knee bar. And then you can flow through with anything you feel like flowing through with that foot. So that's the first one that's a lot of fun to play with. Second one that's a lot of fun to play with is a calf slicer. Very, very similar in application. She comes in with an attack. I step here and now I trap her toes with my right foot. And this is really important that your toes face out. If they're facing parallel with her or in, she's gonna land on them here in a minute. So now here, I start my cross. I put my knee on her calf and I just drop into it. Now it's important when you're doing this with your partner, if you're gonna do a lot of reps, that when you land as the Tory, that you land here with your knee on the ground. So her shin is between my shin and the ground. But it is good to do a couple reps where your partner feels some pain. This is a combative martial art. You have to get used to feeling pain. You can see what I do though. I know I'm a lot bigger and heavier than her. I know that's a sensitive target. So I'm putting my hands down and I'm being gentle on her as I apply the pain. Now, come on back up. Now if I flow through it a little bit more, I'm gonna protect her by staying up on the balls of my feet and landing my knee on the ground. Now here, I get back up and apply technique as you get up. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. You know, I know there's a lot of controversy in the martial arts world about cross-stepping. I'm an advocate of learning how and when to cross-step. Like I said, cross-stepping has got no place in some martial arts. I'm never gonna try to convince a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy that cross-stepping is gonna be an application for him that he's gonna use a lot. There's no way, that's just a different world. But in general combative martial arts where you have to be able to move your body a bunch of different ways and you never know what's gonna happen when things kick off or what kind of postures or positions you're gonna end up in, I believe there is an importance to training the cross step, understanding where it comes from, why it was done, and how to use it. And not just how to use it, but what to do if your feet do end up crossed, how you can uncross and use that to your advantage. Again, I welcome any comments in the comment section. Thanks a lot for tuning in.